Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today we are going to do a profile on the updated Dragonmaid deck. So this is post Battles of Mayhem, which just came out. Previously on my channel, I did a really nice beginner's guide to the Dragonmaid, so I'm going to link that at the end. If you're completely new to the deck and want to know the ins and outs just of how to play the base deck, feel free to check that out. But for this, I'm going to be mainly focusing on just showing you the deck profile. I will talk about like the new cards a little bit more in depth and explain how they work, and then I'll do a quick demonstration showing you how the new cards work. But it's really slick. I've been running this deck all week. It's a lot of fun, right? So let's go ahead and start with the profile. We'll get into it right away. So we're going to start with 3 chamber. That's pretty staple. I haven't really seen anybody run anything but 3. Chamber's a great starter in the deck because she can search you any spell or trap card. And basically the 3 starter monsters, we'll go through them. We've got Chamber, we've got Parlor, and then we've got 3 kitchens. So here, let me actually do this a little bit better. So we got Chamber, Parlor, and Kitchen. And with the new support, it just makes everything more consistent. And any one of these, if you open any of these are going to basically start your combo with the way the new fusion works. So we'll kind of explain that, right, when we get into it. And then some other little ones. I am playing 1 Nurse and 1 Laundry. Now, I'm going to say right away, most deck lists, you are not going to see Laundry on it, and you're not going to see Nud Jarl on it, okay? What I will say is mine is a very good competitive version of the deck, but I like to keep my decks pure, and there's a part of me that, like, I kind of like to just put one of each to have them in the deck, and I do find some use in having Nurse and Laundry and their counterparts, because you'll find with the fusion, you want access to both versions of the card to help get the fusion out better. But what I would say is, obviously, if you want to play a slightly more meta-relevant version, you could cut the Laundry and or the Nurse package. So that will be them with the big dragons. They definitely don't need to be here. I definitely think the Nurse package is better than the Laundry package. Laundry isn't as good because she just mills 3 and it's very random. It can be very good, but you can also get nothing off of the mill. Laundry is actually like a better Tearlerment card than a Dragonmaid card. So I'm openly admitting that, like, if you want a more meta-relevant, I would for sure cut Laundry and don't even play Nud Jarl. I've seen some people play 0 Nurse. I've seen some people play 1 Nurse, but not play the counterpart. I like Ernest a lot. So that's my lineup for the little Dragonmaids. And then most people will go like 1 Tinkek, 1 Lorpar, one of the new one. It's this god-awful name to pronounce, but I'll call it Sermba. That's the chamber counterpart. And then the ones that I'm running that a lot of people don't is I'm playing 1 Ernest and 1 Nud Jarl. To me, I just think this is fun, just to say that I at least have the ability to use every dragon of the Dragonmaids. But definitely the big dragons, you don't want more than 1 of any of them, because they can get clunky in the hand, and they can kind of mess you up. Now, I will talk about Sermba here for a second. Some people will actually run this at more than 1. Because I'm running Ernest and Nud Jarl, I'm only going to run this at 1. But a more competitive version, like, you would probably cut Nud Jarl and Ernest, and you'd probably cut Laundry for sure, and maybe even Nurse. These slots could be filled with other hand traps that you would maybe rather run that I'm not running. So you could run Mulcharmies, you could run Nibiru, you could do stuff like that, right? That you'll see in my hand trap lineup, I don't have those. So you definitely, like, to your preference, that's the only thing that I would say in my deck that wouldn't be as meta relevant, is that I'm running these. To me, Yu-Gi-Oh is not just about meta, it's about having fun as well. And they are fun to use. So for me, I like my pure builds. And that's the way I'm running that. So that's going to be it for the main deck Dragonmaid lineup. But I should talk about, really quick, we're going to talk about Sermba quick, because this is a new monster, right? So on field, it's very good because it makes it so Dragon Fusion monsters can't be destroyed by card effect, which is really good. It can help protect your fusions. But the other thing that it does is you can discard this from your hand, and you can special a Dragonmaid that is in your graveyard are banished. So that can be kind of cool as well, because with the new deck, banishing is now kind of a thing with it, and it's a good way to, like, get cards back from the banished area. Or once again, you can just special and resurface something from the graveyard with this. So I think this is definitely, like, a really good dragon you can run, and it's nice to have a counterpart to Chamber, which you're going to see having the counterparts is really important for the new fusion, right? So that's going to be the main deck Dragonmaids. And then for my hand trap lineup, I am going triple Ash. Once again, on hand traps, I think it's kind of your preference. I'm going double Droll and Lockbird. I just hate drawing more than 1, so Droll's very good. I'm just not running 3 because I hate when I draw more than 1. But you definitely could play 3 if you want to have it. And then I am running 1 Magnemut and 1 Druid Swarm. I've seen some people run just Magnemut. Magnemite for sure is the one you want to run because that's going to fetch you a dragon during the end phase, which is really good. But I'm running one of each. I kind of like them both. You could argue maybe siding the Druid Swarm. You know, if your opponent's not playing light or dark, you might not want to see the Bestials as much. I think Magnemite for sure is a good main deck. So if you're someone that's like, I want 3 Drolls, just change the Druid Swarm into a Droll, and you could probably do something like that, right? But that's kind of what I'm running for the hand trap monsters. Now we'll go to the spell and trap lineup. So what I'm running here for spells is I'm running this interesting kind of Foolish Burial Dragon Shrine combo. The deck's always been predicated on like wanting Dragon Maids in the graveyard, but it's kind of even more emphasized now because the new fusion, I'll go over the fusion in more depth later, but I'll just to tell you how to summon it is you have to have a Dragon Maid on the field, and then you have to have its counterpart in your graveyard, and you banish them both. So what Shrine and Foolish are really good at, the big thing that this deck loses to is basically getting hand trapped on your normal summon. Outside of Hospitality, and then like doing your standby like dragon effects, but like if it's like turn 1, you're just trying to summon stuff out of your hand, Hospitality is really like your main special summon, and if you don't have Hospitality, if you're tossing down a normal and it gets negated, like you're kind of just out of luck, right? So what Dragon Shrine does is it enables me, if I can normal summon a Dragon Maid and it gets negated, but it's still on field, I can use Foolish or Dragon Shrine to ensure I can get the counterpart in the graveyard. It helps give you more consistency with the fusion, because what this deck needs is it needs more follow-up when that first negate hits. So that's what I'm trying right now. I may end up changing this, but for now I'm kind of liking that idea, right? Another card we're playing is Sangan Kaiman. This card, you know, people know it as a Tenpai card, which is what it is. But it basically can add a level 4 or lower fire dragon. So this is to help you get Kitchen. One thing that's different about the modern Dragon Maids compared to the old ones, Kitchen is way better than she used to be. In the old Dragon Maids, you always wanted to open Parlor or Chamber. Kitchen wasn't as good of an open, but now Kitchen is like your best starter. Kitchen and Parlor and Chamber all get you to the same result. Chamber does it slightly differently, but Parlor and Kitchen pretty much do it the same way. So Sangan Kaiman is essentially like having a 4th Kitchen in the deck. And then if you happen to already draw a Kitchen and you have Sangan Kaiman, you can use this to special the Kitchen, which is really good because that gives you follow-up if maybe you have a different normal summon you want to attempt, maybe it gets negated, well now you can follow up with a special the Kitchen and you still have your full combo. So Sangan Kaiman at 1 I think is actually quite good in this deck. We're running Called by the Grave at 1 because once again this deck's biggest weakness is the hand traps, the interruption. So Called by is really good to stop the Ash, stop Effect Failure, whatever they're trying to get you with, try to stop the Droll. Called by will hit that. I'm also playing Crossout Designator just because once again I want something to fight the hand traps, and I feel like I have enough crossout targets in the deck. So you know, I've got Ash, I've got Droll, right? I've got some other cards in the trap lineup. I've got Imperm. So I think to me there's enough targets for it. Designator is something I may go back and forth on. We'll see. I may end up changing it to the side where I could maybe side it in with, because I'm not main decking Nibiru. Nibiru is definitely one you should consider main decking. Once again, if you want to take out like the Nud Jarls and stuff that I'm doing with the water one. So then Crossout's even better with Nib, because this deck can be susceptible to Nib. So, but not so much, because if you get Dragon Maid Shao out, you can negate the Nib. So Nib doesn't hurt this deck as bad, and you're usually going to get a Shao out before you summon that many times. So you're probably okay, but Designator's just there. But that is one I'm considering cutting. We'll see over time how much I get burned by it, and if I feel like I don't have enough targets for it, if it's kind of a dead card, I might just put something else in, right? Dragon Maid Welcome, I do like it at 1. You'll see a lot of builds that don't run this at all. This may be me leaning more towards I like to have kind of like one of each Dragon Maid card and whatever, but I've legitimately found this card very useful. But I get why people don't run it, because it's kind of like a win more card. Because turn 1, like just playing this card does nothing for you. It kind of requires setup where you need to have a good setup already, because you need multiple Dragon Maids to get use out of it. But if you do get a good setup, it is a win more card because you really extend from it. But Welcome with the Water Dragon Maids and the Earth Dragon Maids, those are all very, very cuttable if you want your deck to be more meta relevant. Once again, mine's a pure deck. I like to run it for locals, but Welcome I like. And once again, the way it's a win more card is because if I already got like a big field and I'm doing well, then I can keep adding Dragon Maid cards back from my grave to hand to help me either extend or have good setup for the next turn. And then it does give an attack buff. Not super significant, but the attack buff can definitely be fun, right? Dragonmaid changeover, I'm playing at 1. In the past, I've talked about maybe running this at 2 because, you know, before the new support came out, changeover was really your method of fusion summoning. And what would happen is in the past, if your opponent banishes your changeover, you're kind of stuck. You can't really fusion summon anymore. Well, the new Dragonmaid stuff allows you to fusion summon without it, so it's not as important. I still want it at 1 because I still think it's good to have access to do traditional summoning with it, but I don't feel the pressure to put it at 2 because if my opponent does banish this from the graveyard, I know I still have a means to fusion summon. So I think right now changeover is very solidly at 1, and I would actually probably not recommend running it at 2. I think 2 is going to be super excessive, especially once you get Lady Dragonmaid going and you're fusing a lot. Your field fills up so fast, like you just have no room to bring out more stuff. And the extra changeover is going to be overkill because this card recurs from the graveyard and it's very searchable. So you just get it out once. Once it gets going, you keep recurring it from the graveyard. You're fusing every turn with it on top of what Lady's doing. So yeah, I think 1 is the right number for that. Dragonmaid Hospitality at 3 is a must. It's even more important because it's just a special summon that you can have access to. I talked about this earlier, but you need a way to special. It's Hospitality is pretty much your setup to get Lady Dragonmaid, right? And so when you're doing Chamber, let's say you open just Chamber, Chamber gets this, and then you could use this to summon a different dragon that, well, provided you have another Dragonmaid you can use, you have access to, whether it's in the graveyard or whatever. But then this is how you could get a counterpart Dragonmaid to your graveyard, and you can do stuff with that, right? So I'll talk about the Chamber combo because there is a way that you can do it with just Chamber. Let's say you have just Chamber and nothing else. There's a way you can turn Chamber into Lady. So I'll try to demo that at the end. And then for the trap lineup, I just have 3 Imperms, and I've got 3 Dragonmaid Tidying. Some people run Tidying at 1 or 2. I like it at 3. I think it's a really good card. I've had several matches where I've gone through all 3 of them. So to me, it's just a really nice trap. It's good interruption. That's what I like to kind of run there, right? So that's a pretty good base setup, I would say, for like the base Dragonmaid deck with the new stuff. Once again, the Earth Dragons, the Water ones are definitely very cuttable. Welcome is very cuttable if you want to try other things. If you want more hand traps, a little bit more meta relevant, you can do that. Surmba, the new dark one, a lot of people do run it at 2. I think 1 is fine for that. I don't know that that's a card that I'm not like, oh, I wish I had it, or I wish I had more in my deck. It's not necessarily a card I want to draw. I think most of the big dragons, you don't really want to draw them. You want to search them out or Foolish Burial them, right? That's what you want to do with them. So I would say 1 at those is probably fine. So next, let's go into the fusion lineup, and then we'll talk about Lady. I'll go through the side deck, and then once again, I'll demo kind of how this new stuff works. So for the fusion deck, or the extra deck, we might as well call it a fusion deck because it's mostly fusions. So I'm running double Shao. I'm running double Lady, which is the new one. I will explain this really quick while I'm on it. So the way that you summon this, essentially, is you have to have a Dragonmaid. It can be the little one or the big one on the field, and you have to have the counterpart in the graveyard. So it can't be like 2 parlors. It would have to be a lore part and a parlor, like one of each. So you have the human version and the dragon version, 1 on field, 1 in graveyard, and then you just banish both of those to summon this. When this gets summoned, it special summons a Dragonmaid from your deck, which is very good. And then during the standby phase, this can fusion summon a dragon fusion monster by shuffling the materials from field or banish, and I think it might be hand too. Let me double check. Still a little new to this, but you can fusion, yep. Shuffling materials from field and our just field or banishment. I wasn't sure if it was hand, but yeah, field or banishment with this. And so you're going to see that during your first standby phase with this, it's really insane. Like this deck plays so much more during the standby phase. It's kind of crazy. On a typical setup, you're getting 3 interactions during the standby phase. It's really crazy. So I'm going to show you how she works, but that's what's really cool about her. You don't actually summon her with changeover. You don't summon her with poly. You just banish the Dragonmaid counterparts, and then she comes out, okay? Then I'm running 3 house. The reason why you run 3 house is you want access to summon it traditionally, but house needs to come out on a Shao negate, and you're going to find you're going to fly through this fusion deck really fast. What's nice about it is Lady, through what she's doing, she can recycle and put them back in the extra deck, but you're going to find you go through house a little bit quicker because you might be summoning her traditionally, but then getting her out on a negate on Shao. And so having that 3rd one is just nice, because the last thing you want to happen is to like go through 2 houses and then have a Shao on board and then not be able to negate because there's no house in the extra deck to tag out with, right? So I think having 3 houses is good there. And then for non-dragon maids, we'll get these out of the way. Non-dragon maids that we are using, we're doing Borreload Furious Dragon, very easy to summon. It's just 2 dark dragons. It has a quick effect destruction effect, which is awesome. We have Chaos, the Star Source Dragon. This is a very good one. You just need a minimum of 1 light or dark dragon to summon it. If you summon it with 2, the effect gets even better. So this basically is 2, it's 1 to 2 pops, which is nice. It comes out and it can destroy 1 to 2 things, depending on how many lights and darks you used. We have this Philia Regis. This is a newer card that came out. Kind of feels like it was made for Dragonmaid a little bit. It just requires a dragon fusion in a level 7 or higher dragon. So it fits right in with what Dragonmaid is doing. It has a quick effect banish effect you can use. You can banish from field or graveyard. So once again, these are generic dragon fusions. They all can be summoned with changeover. They all can be summoned with lady. And they all have interruption. So that's why I'm liking these in the deck. And then for non-fusion, we have a link package. So we have 2 Heavenly Spheres. It's just anytime you're playing Dragon good stuff, it's a great card to use. Striker Dragon, which is actually super important, and an SP Little Knight. I've also seen people run a Pisty. Not so much that you're going to get the Pisty effect off and summon with it, but it's basically just like having an extra Striker Dragon in the deck, because they're both just a link 1 for 1 level 4 or lower dragon. So in case you need to essentially do the Striker thing twice, you can do that. And I'll kind of show you how that works here in a moment. But Striker Dragon really is in there just because it just is 1 dragon, it comes out. And it's really significant because it puts a Dragonmaid in the graveyard as much as anything else. And then Striker Dragon's really easy access to like link off with something else to get an SP with full effect, as an example. So a generic idea of this is you can make Striker Dragon, get another Dragonmaid out, go into SP, get the good SP effect, right? Or you could go into Heavenly Spheres with it if you need to, something like that. So that's kind of what we're doing there. And then the last one is we just put in 1 Typhon, just because Typhon's so generic. If you get a really dead hand, your opponent pops off, does crazy stuff turn 1. Turn 2, maybe you kind of lose combo. Maybe you summon your Dragonmaid, they negate it. You don't really have follow-up. At least you can turn that Dragonmaid into a Typhon and maybe make something out of a bad situation. So that's why I'm kind of running the Typhon there, right? Okay, let's go side deck here. So side deck, I am siding Super Poly. I do want to speak on Super Poly a little bit. Super Poly definitely can be a main deck card, and you'll notice that in my extra deck, the thing with Dragon Maids is the extra deck is very tight. There's a lot of things you want to run and a lot of things you can run. So I used to main deck Super Poly before the new stuff came out, and I would have your generic Super Poly targets, right? So you'd have like your Starving Venom, Fusion Dragon, Predaplant, Dragoplestia, you'd have Garura, you'd have Mud Dragon of the Swamp, right? Like all that stuff, you can main deck that if you want to. You just have to tweak the extra deck to make room. Maybe you don't like doing link stuff at all. You could just do a full Fusion extra deck. You could do that. But then you could main Super Poly because then you have generic targets. Because I opted out of generic Super Poly targets, I do still think Super Poly is very runnable. Because all of the Dragon Fusions, even the outside of Lady, because Lady's got a special summoning condition, but House and Shao, they all only require 1 Dragonmaid monster, and then you can use generic dragons for the other one. So if I'm playing a dragon deck, I can side in the Super Polys and I'm good to go. And there's a lot of dragon decks out there, right? With we've got the Dragon Ruler stuff just got new support. We've got Blue Eyes. Bestials are still out there. So are some good dragon stuff out there that if you're playing against it, I think Super Poly's worth the side, because even with this version of my extra deck, we could definitely get use out of that, right? Rivalry of Warlords, very good side deck card. This deck plays through it very well because it's a full dragon deck. So I think anytime you can side deck a Floodgate and it works with your deck, you should do it. We have the little Feather Duster Lightning Storm combo, obviously very good for going second if you know your opponent's got a lot of back row. Triple Evenly, very good stuff there, good going second stuff. Dimensional Barrier, very good against a lot of decks. And then Triple Lancia, because, you know, Malice is a thing and there are plenty of other decks that like banishing right now. Lancia is just very good in the current format. So I feel like Lancia is a really good side deck option. So that's pretty much it for the full lineups. We did deck, extra deck, side deck. Let's talk through some combos and I'm going to kind of explain how this works, right? And so I'm going to show you just like the bare minimum combos and then know that based on what else you draw, you can extend and do a lot more crazy stuff from there, right? So let's do the kitchen combo. So if you just open a single kitchen and then the rest of your hand can be whatever. So you summon kitchen, that's your normal summon, right? And then her effect is search your deck for a Dragonmaid monster and then discard a Dragonmaid monster, right? So you search for her counterpart. So you grab Tinkek and you discard it. With that alone, now we have a Dragonmaid on field and we have counterpart in graveyard. So what we do with that is we banish both of those and then we go to the extra deck and we get Lady. So then Lady comes out. Grab a Lady here. So then Lady comes out. On summon, Lady specials one from the deck. So typically from there, you would special in the chamber because that's the one effect you haven't used yet. You could get, depending on the situation, like if you already have chamber or you, for whatever reason, don't want it, you could go parlor. Like parlor or chamber could be good here, but usually you go chamber. So we'd get chamber, and then off of that chamber, we are adding a spell or trap. So depending on what you've already drawn could change it, but if I don't have changeover, then I usually go into changeover. Otherwise, you'd grab hospitality, and then hospitality can help you play off and extend from there, right? But then let's say I grab changeover, and then from there, based on whatever other Dragonmaids I have, then I could start fusing and kind of doing stuff like that, right? Now keep in mind, so let's say the rest of the turn, let's say we don't even do anything else, and we just get this base combo, we use this to search, and we have this on board. This isn't the ideal board to end on, but this is a bare minimum that we can make with just the kitchen, right? And then keep in mind that these two are banished. So then we pass turn, and our opponent's standby phase, Lady will trigger. During standby phase, she can shuffle materials from field or banished into the deck to fusion summon. So these two are conveniently chilling here. So these get shuffled back into the deck and we fuse with it during standby. So then let's say we go ahead and make a Dragonmaid Shao. So then we have Shao out. Still standby phase. During standby phase, Shao can activate effect to special from hand or graveyard. So then whatever other Dragonmaid you have, you extend more, you summon that. So let's say you got a Parlor in the graveyard, you summon that, and then Parlor's effect goes, Parlor dumps, whatever. You kind of can keep going and going, and it's like all the little Dragonmaids, when they come out and hit the field, then all of their effects start to go off, and then all of a sudden on your opponent's turn, this one Lady Dragonmaid turns into a full field of 5. You've milled stuff, you maybe added another card to your hand with another chamber effect, something like that. So that's like a bare minimum type of setup, right? But obviously you can do a lot more of that based on what you get. So that's the kitchen open, and that's like the real basic way to do that. The other open you could do is Parlor, which I'm not going to demo the whole thing. It's pretty much the same thing, right? Because all kitchen did was it added the fire and pitched the fire. Well, if you get Parlor, same thing. You summon Parlor, just put lower part in the graveyard, same combo. So they're both doing the exact same thing. You have them in the counterpart in the grave and you go. Now the chamber open is a little bit different. So let me show you how this goes. We can still get the same result. So I summon chamber and then I search for a spell or trap. Okay. So then what I'm going to do here is you're actually going to search and you're going to get hospitality with that, okay? And once again, this is assuming you have no other Dragonmaid stuff. You're kind of stuck with just the chamber. You get it off and you get the hospitality. This is where Striker Dragon comes into play. I can link this off into Striker Dragon, just one single monster, right? Striker Dragon comes out, okay? Now, since I conveniently have this hospitality, I can play that. Specials chamber from graveyard, and then this is going to mill the opposite dragon or the counterpart to the graveyard. So then that's going to go ahead and that's going to put Sermba in the graveyard. Now all of a sudden I've got chamber on field, I've got Sermba in grave, so now I banish those, go into ladies, do the same combo, and then I still have a Striker Dragon on board, and I could link off and do other stuff with that. So there you go, guys. That's the basic combos, and then once again, based on other stuff you have in your hand, you can kind of go crazy and do other stuff, right? So like that first setup, so let's play this out a little bit, right? So because there's one more thing I want to show you. So let's say we have this. So we do this. Let's banish these. Let's go into Lady, right? So we'll go into Lady. This goes here. So let's say we go into Lady. Because this will look slightly different. So we go into Lady. So we'll put Lady down here. Lady's going to special one. Now we've already used Chamber. So in this instance now, I may want to go into like a Parlor, right? So let's go into a Parlor. Parlor, where are you at? Let's grab the Parlor. Okay, so let's go into a Parlor from that, and then Parlor's going to send one to grave. We've already used Hospitality, so I could either send like a big dragon to grave, or what we could do in this instance is we can send Changeover to grave, okay? And then what I could do with Changeover is I could add this back to my hand by bouncing the Parlor. So now I have Parlor and Changeover in hand. And then what I could do is I could actually summon a house right here, right? Because house is just a dragon and a Dragonmaid. So on this instance with this combo, I could change over. I could say fuse the striker with the parlor, or I could keep striker on board if I have something else in my hand, and then I could go into a house here. So now what I would end on is I end on a lady in a house. So what happens now with this is I go to my opponent's turn, we hit standby. Now, once again, I don't have to resolve these in any order. They don't have to be activated at the beginning of standby, so I can do them whenever. So I can do lady first, lady confused by shuffling these back in. So we shuffle these back in, we got Xiao. And this happens to me very commonly. As I've been playing this, I'll very commonly have all 3 of these out. So I'm still standby. I'm playing during my opponent's standby. House has to target something and then summon something with a level higher or lower than it. But I can resolve Xiao first. So then based on what I've got in my graveyard, you know, Xiao maybe in hand. Let's just say in hand, I have a... We'll just throw it out there. Let's say I have a nurse in hand, right? Let's say I have a chamber in hand, just to make it more simple. Let's say I have a chamber in hand. Xiao could special chamber out. Chamber's effect goes as a spell or trap. Then I can resolve house during standby, target this, summon the parlor. Parlor sends one. All of a sudden I got a full field of 5, right? So like, you can go from like just a lady or just a lady and something else, and you fill up this field like crazy. And then you've got, you know, all kinds of things you can interact with. So anyways, guys, there you go. That's my build for the new Dragonmaid deck. Once again, I admit that there are a few tweaks you'd want to make if you want to make it more meta relevant. I am openly telling you that the water stuff with Laundry and Nudjarl, and then the earth stuff with Ernest and Nurse, those aren't exactly as meta. And then the welcome, I play those because I personally like them. I think they're fun, but I know that if I were going to like a high-end event, probably would cut those and just play more hand traps. So let me know what you guys all think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.